lines, I mean, it's north. You're not gonna have an odor, you're not gonna have street traffic. So they found a realtor, and just call that big way. I see the signs up on the, I see the signs on the.
Okay, let me try to explain what we're gonna do. Tonight, we've invited Southeast to go, their part of, economic development. We're gonna discuss this SWOT analysis regarding economic development. And then we're gonna open it up for questions and answers from Chuck. Okay? So if you look at that last sheet or two behind this, is what we need to pull out first. Last two sheets. One of them's economic development, the other was miscellaneous. Both of them are economic development.
Okay, they're really fine.
Mr. Chairman, you not go with it.
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay. Come on, look small.
Right there, it's not bad. I got two of them. And then my new one.
Small. That's right. One's economic.
Okay, now, what I want to do is, Greg and Maria and myself, we're going to categorize this stuff the best we could. There's some things we don't quite understand, and I don't know if we really understand it. So we will go over them, and if you want to comment, if you don't, we're just going to move on, okay? Just for understanding right now. And the first one was straight accessible travel areas. Does anybody want to comment what was meant by that? If no one comments, we're going to move on now. Active opportunities for staff.
I didn't write that one, but I'd like to know what that means.
That's what we're trying to
Yeah,
understand.
anybody, whoever wrote that, what that means.
Somebody wrote it, now, please.
Oh, they're trying to get signed up to be active for staff members. And come to help work. No, I'm serious.
Is that activity? Well, we don't know though. Our next question was, is it activity while they work, or what is it?
Yeah. Okay.
I hope it would be. I didn't do it.
Well, if you didn't do it, I mean,
But
we need to know the thought behind it.
Yeah, I
Put it.
would-
That's what I meant, because
Okay.
to make this happen.
County and good location for prospective companies to consider. I think everybody understands that. The location, Beach Mountain Interstate, that's okay. Low wages, resources to entice prospective businesses, okay? Towns are working together as a whole county to assure growth based on the ability to come up with viable jobs. Cost of living, good place to live, having good prices, low property tax, jobs for tax. What's that mean? What's jobs for tax? Okay. Okay.
Y'all must have been missing.
This water now is not gonna be working.
Charles ain't my assumption.
No.
Okay.
Okay, then going to the next column, weakness.
That's the big one.
Adult sports, drugs.
That's illegal drugs you're talking about, I guess.
Yeah, I think I put that there. It was.
Illegal drugs.
Put drugs on there.
You know what, Mr. Peterson, that the adult sports really has got a rarity for older people. It used to be a mainstream for older people. Basketball, adult gone, softball's gone.
Softball gone.
Everything's gone. Whose fault is that? Very correct.
But that's the recreation aspect.
That's right.
Yeah.
What does it mean from economic development?
Jobs. Hold on, Chuck. Expansion to include malls. Job growth limited. Larger employers. Minority employment.
I look at that one, that we don't have this percentage based on the population in the county.
There's a higher number of what are you saying
The
exactly?
county, I think, is 40% minority, and the county jobs were 20% minority, I think it is.
Okay.
And when you look at the
And that's
economic,
what I'm looking for when I'm reading this, trying to make sure everybody's on the same
Yeah, and we're
page.
looking at the economic part about it,
If everybody participates.
So there's a total percent of 40% minority groups, and of those 40%, only 20% of them have jobs.
population, 20% of the jobs in the county.
Okay, gotcha.
Need more jobs, no growth, not enough industry, secondary education.
Secondary education.
About as good as it's gonna get.
Shopping, after-hours attractions for young families on a regular basis.
I did that one. And I did that one because it's so, whenever I have traveled to, of course, larger cities, there are, at least on a weekly basis, if not every night, but let's just, realistically, every week, whether it's a Thursday night or a Wednesday night or a Sunday night, there's activities throughout the county, throughout the municipality or town that attract families of all ages on a weekly or monthly basis to come out, take part together, shop locally. And it's not just a once a year thing, it's not just on a holiday, it's a normal thing. They'll have the trail runs in Charlotte, for example, and I know this is Charlotte, but every Thursday they have a 5K trail run. It's $15 entry fee, but you don't have to run it, you can walk it. You get timed if you want to, you don't have to, but at the end of it, a local band who is of no charge, they come because they're getting that promotion, they're getting that exposure by the participants that come out after the race, the traders.
So you're talking about social events?
Yes, just things. I mean, it don't have to be when it's social, but it can just be, social, community-based, a movie night, get a blow-up thing and put out a movie once a month. That's something that I feel like we have a large enough community, but a small enough community that it can have a huge impact and not too much effort, but a lot of creativity. And we have a lot of talent in this town too. And so I feel like we can tap into that. And we have a lot of people who are. This is a good time too, trying to, my business, reach into keeping people active and healthy. We got Brown's Bike Creek, our bike trail. There's a lot of things here. We got the farmers market, the Troy Hole Park. There's a lot of things that are coming that I just want to kind of put a bug in people's ears that it can be done. All I need to know is go. Let's do it, because it can be a lot of fun and it can add a lot of after-hour activities to help, younger families who need to know what to do.
And this, we categorize these things as good. Everything might not fit in there, so just, we can pull it out a little bit later. No.
So now with these attractions, they're bringing people to spend money in
Sure,
the area.
absolutely. People who want to run trail races year-round,
It
all
was
year
spend,
round.
it was spend,
Okay.
buy gasoline,
Absolutely,
groceries,
town,
whatever.
all areas, not just
Okay.
Elizabethtown, but everywhere. Yeah.
Okay, good. Employees' compensation, jobs, lack of jobs, large number of qualified applicants for jobs and positions.
Put that one in the wrong position,
What?
Which one?
wrong place.
What?
The last one you read.
What,
Large
large number?
number of qualified applicants.
So it's a weakness versus a strength.
I think it's a strength.
Large number of.
Is that like,
Not hired.
is it a negative or a
Unless they're
positive?
just not hired.
Well, who wrote that? What was the intent? Let's move that over, that's a big deal.
Does that have anything to do with the residency requirement?
No.
it needs to stay as a weakness, large number of qualified. That don't make sense. To have a large number of qualified for a weakness. It needs to
Well,
be
yeah,
a
they
strength.
said you got more people qualified than you got jobs.
If you have no
That's a
jobs,
weakness.
Yeah.
Well, it might be.
If you got, yeah.
Yeah,
But
okay.
either way.
Okay, we'll do it. Come on. Limited financial resources, low income, high tax rate, not enough jobs, poor county, restaurants, education, funds, graduation rate.
Sure, let me ask you a question. When you got education and with the appearance, is that three notes came in with that on it?
I think so.
Okay.
So mine was because I'm not competitive. to attract businesses. Some of them, when you talk about machining, that's not.
You did talk about that.
But otherwise, there's not a lot of, skills, specific skills to bring to the community.
Okay. Graduation rate, infrastructure and programs, lack of education, low test scores. Need to build a better relationship with school board. School facilities in poor condition.
That's big, that's big then.
All our education.
This education part of, economic part of the whole thing, picture.
We have one over here that's education on top.
But that's one of the things that's just so.
Okay, we're just trying to understand. Schools and colleges should reconsider needs of the workforce and conform to needs, classes, ability, and technical needs. Finish 4-lane in Highway 87.
That's excellent.
High-speed broadband.
I put
Excellent.
that one, because we don't have it.
4-lane connectors.
Excellent.
Highway systems. Infrastructure support, new employment. Limited technology. More opportunities for kids, young adults again. Provide services to the whole county. Opportunities. Create a small business hub to outsource plate movement. Grow the economy. More recreation. More service industries. New sources of employment. Tourism. Plain Community College technical programs. Build confidence in public schools. Charter school. Colleges in and around BC should offer needed necessary technology for skilled labor. Education. More education dollars. New technology. Private schools. EMS growth. Major gas lines. Railroad. Water system. Threats. Lack of jobs. Lack of natural gas throughout the county. New industries not located in the county. No natural gas. And there might be several in here, we just listed them like, instead of just trying to throw one out, we just listed them, some of them listed twice. Some of them had numbers and references and stuff, just to show you. Progress for the entire county. Competitive pay. Federal cuts. Lack of skilled jobs. Lack of work ethic. More state cuts, poor revenue sources, workforce lacking diversity, charter schools, educational system. What is that word?
Exodus.
Graduates from other school systems and
They don't come back.
high school to other areas of the state.
They graduate but don't come
They
back.
don't come back.
That's what Bladen
Okay.
definitely had to do.
Okay? That's like blue, that's good. Lack of communication between entities, county government, public schools, ETC. No early college offered.
They did dual enrollment. They got dual enrollment.
Yeah, no, it's not the same though.
What's the difference?
We're talking about early college. We're trying to do early college, like what's surrounded by early college would be, they start at 10th grade and they have a 2-year degree when
Well,
they finish.
because there has been
No, we don't.
a rule that has been passed, you have to be 17 years old now
No.
in order to attend a college while you're still in, and that was just very recent that Miller was the first one to ever be able to do it before the rule passed.
What Miss Gillen just talked about is a little bit different. There's a early college
College to career.
over in, well, it's a little bit different. Over in Cerro Gordo,
Sarah Gorder.
well, I think it's Cerro Gordo was one of the first ones. It's something called early college, and I wish I knew more about exactly where the status is.
It targets students who come from families that don't have education, like don't have college degrees.
And also, if you're not really interested in cheerleading or playing sports or whatever. You want to go ahead and get started on your technical degree right now.
Exactly.
And I think Bladen County is one of the only counties in this region that doesn't have an official early college. But the Board of Education and the community college have been working very assertively together to do one. So
At the breakfast meeting at the community college a couple months ago, Jeff Beniggi.
so you can get early college classes,
Yeah.
but this is an actual early college.
Yeah.
Early college.
It's called something different.
Early college, this is what this is.
Yeah.
Well, I'm saying what they offer is called different.
Well, that's a career.
Like dual
career
enrollment.
promise.
Yeah.
Dual enrollment.
Career promise.
Career something, yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Okay, all right. Public school concerns, students, matriculate to college and do all that.
That's
That's it.
it.
Yeah. Same as that.
Okay,
I remember aging population.
anything we need to understand on here, no one volunteered.
I don't see, I put, for the aging population, I just wonder, we discuss if you don't.
That's on the,
It's,
far right.
This is not all of them, this is the ones that we just sort of categorized on economic development. Some of them probably, maybe shouldn't have been here after looking at it, but that's what we did.
What Miss Ophelia said though is I can tell you from the industries, that is something I hear all the time. They're very worried about their aging workforce.
Okay.
Let me have one of the second sheets.
We're not gonna talk about the second sheet on that. This one sheet being done about,
That one sheet, then the second sheet.
The second sheet.
were you not about?
No, for everything else. No, non.
This is on a sheet where you can not about.
Okay, I don't have that one. So, I got that one.
I don't have that on me.
Okay.
I had to, not about. Okay. You got one and one?
One and two. One of each.
It's two sheets.
One sheet.
No, one sheet economic development and one sheet of other categories.
Right.
That's what it is.
You got two?
You got those categories?
Well, we're not talking about other categories right now.
Oh, he said you're not gonna talk
I'm not gonna talk about it on that. We're gonna talk about economic development. And now is the time that if you got any questions, like you asked a little while ago about post office, or anything that Chuck's line is, anything you want to know about Bladen County, anything you want to know, now is your opportunity to ask.
My question was, what was the plan for the old post office?
It's going to be a small business incubator. So where our other incubators are more industrial, this one is going to be more of an office environment. So there are, I think, 3 suites and 5 independent offices. So you could have anywhere from 4 to probably 7 businesses start up in it. So if you know somebody that's wanting to start bookkeeping services, if there's a young attorney that is coming in, is looking for a place to try out the market and see if there's space there. Any kind of young or any kind of startup professional type service that needs office space. And it's a fantastic location, being right downtown at the courthouse. So if you know folks that need office space to start up and incubate, we hope they can get in it and stay for 2-3 years and graduate out to the private market.
Have you gone as far as looking into what the office rent will be?
We haven't determined the rent yet because we're waiting to do the bids on the upfit. So when we know what our total costs are, within probably 2 months of it opening, we should have the rent, but it should be very affordable.
Who's buying property from?
Hey, if you will raise your hand, and we'll go around so we don't, everybody get
We
off.
bought it from Russell, I guess we bought it from the Ages. Yeah, we bought it from the Ages, but since he had it financed with a guy in Whiteville, we had to have the permission of both. Yes, sir.
Cardell.
Ronnie, wasn't it? Ronnie?
Yes, sir.
You know, why I was asking, when we are dealing with economics, is any way that we can have some type of, y'all have a criteria that people must meet? Is there anything we can have that tell a person what they need to do, what could, like they want to come consider talking to you, that we say, yeah, you have to meet this and that, or how do you go about doing that?
No, there are no specific thresholds. You know, we're willing to talk to anybody. In fact, we talk to smaller companies than virtually anybody. When the gun company was first looking, and he was just a guy selling parts on eBay, he called other places and they told him they didn't deal with that small stuff. They started here in the incubator and ended up now with, you know, over 40 employees doing a lot of business. So there's no threshold for a number of employees you have to be generating or a certain type of business. We're willing to talk to and vet any kind of business.
All right, we got a follow-up now. Let's
I want to ask one key question to, if a person came in and was looking for resources, that's what I'm asking. Is there anything that they would need to know? How did this come in? You talk that once
They can just come in and we'll talk to them. We get everything from people wanting to cut hair to weld trailers to.
Is there a prohibition on religious organization?
Us.
Being in that building?
No, I'm not aware of any.
Peter,
Ready to ring? Mr. Ray?
Yes, sir.
I think the question I'm going to ask, after talking to a lot of commissioners, that this would be a good step so that I can understand as a new person, and so they can understand, because some of them couldn't answer my questions, and there's been a little confusion, that if you would take the time to explain to us your role as the industrial commissioner of Bladen County, and your relation to report to us about an identity approaching you or our county about coming to Bladen County in conjunction with Bladen's blooming. Because this is what I gather, people call me and there again, I'm asking you questions so I can answer questions, because I can't answer them at this point. And a lot of the commissioners here can't either.
Okay, go ahead.
The question is this, Bladen's blooming seems to have more information than any of the commissioners about companies wanting to come to Bladen County, and it's embarrassing to the commissioners that somebody on the street said, well, why didn't y'all accept so-and-so, or what was the deal with so-and-so, and the commissioners didn't even know they applied or were inquiring. I get the feeling that we don't have a close enough relationship, that we're sort of setting second fiddle behind Bladen's blooming. And that's the consensus of the people that I've talked to, and I hope they'll step up and back me up in what I'm asking, because it's been embarrassing to them. I know it will be embarrassing to me. If you are a full-time employee as the industrial commissioner for Bladen County, and we need to be aware, just like Mr. Coleman and Greg comes to me. In other words, if we have to get you on the program every month so we can be informed, so we can inform and answer questions that are asked of us. And because from what I understand, it's been a little embarrassing that Bladen's blooming. The consensus out there that Bladen's blooming and Chuck Eustace runs everything, and the commissioners don't have a clue what's going on. That's about as straight as I can put it. And now, if you can lighten that up a little bit, and
I can
we need to
explain.
change that if that's the case.
Yeah, okay. Of course, working with industrial development on the public side, you deal a lot with the existing industries and helping them expand, nurturing them here. We also recruit any project, big projects, medium projects, small projects, we respond to the state. On the Bladen blooming side, they do two things that the county does not. They develop real estate and they make loans. Okay. On the loan side, that money has been granted to Bladen's blooming from, say, USDA Rural Development, We've gotten some from Golden Leaf before. So you kind of make a good point in that, because lots of times if we're working with an industry and all they need is a loan, then that actually never comes from the it never comes before the Board of Commissioners, because they're asking for a loan from Bladen's Blooming. So that project may never even be heard about. But then when it happens, somebody on the street will say, well, hey, I heard that Bladen's Blooming made a loan to so-and-so to expand. So yeah, that project may work directly only between Bladen's Blooming and the client and never come before the commissioners,
That
because
client's already here though, are they not?
sometimes, well, if y'all don't hear about it, then they're already here. Now, sometimes it's a client coming in that wants a package of a building and a loan, or a loan to buy a building. But, I mean, you do make a good point, because in that case where financing is the driver of it, it really never would come before the commissioners. And when you all would hear about it would be, you know, when the project is already done, because the client wasn't asking for anything from the county. Now, also,
And a benefit from that, from what I gathered from our last meeting and then the intro meeting that we all went to, one of the main, I guess, benefits of the Bladen Blooming in regards to the loans is the privacy and confidentiality of the
Right.
prospective buyer, you know, who's looking into it. They don't have to
Yes,
worry
ma'am.
about
There
it.
may be a company that's in a temporary financial difficult situation, and they don't want anybody to know they were. And we do a short-term interim loan. We have done tons of loans with businesses in this county that absolutely nobody knows we ever did. They might have been struggling for an amount of time. They lost some money that somebody didn't pay them. They lost a big customer, and we did some financing to get them through the problem, and nobody would ever know about it except for that Bladen's Blooming board. Now, on the real estate side, lots of times there may be a company, we get lots of companies looking. So let's say that the Vulcan Amps building right now, we have had probably in the last, let's say year, 6 companies come in and see that building. When the company comes and they want to know, well, what can I lease it for, then we have to go to the Bladen's Blooming, most of the time, executive committee. We don't always take it to the whole board because it's too difficult to get 9 together. But the executive committee is the president, Robert Hester, the vice president, Leon Martin, and Mr. Mack is the vice president, and the secretary treasurer, Leon. Lots of times they are our executive committee, and they're given the authority to negotiate the initial terms of a contract. So a lot of times those 3 will help put up what the lease rate would be, and they would know about the project, but nobody else on Bladen's Blooming may not, and you all may not, because they haven't gotten serious enough about it yet, where they're talking about incentives or training at the college. So in those situations, lots of times you may have somebody on Bladen's Blooming that they know about it and you all don't. Now, there are other projects where Bladen's Blooming is not involved at all. For example, an expansion at DuPont. Somebody goes to look at Woody Marlowe's building in Clarkton. There's no need for Bladen's Blooming. I come directly to talk to you all about it, and then you would know about it, and Bladen's Blooming wouldn't. But I think this thing, Ray, with moving to where the county potentially builds the buildings and sells them to Bladen's Blooming, one of the things that we've talked about that we like the most about that is it creates more of an ownership of the county in the process of the building. And we could certainly, I know I like getting information from the region and the state about projects that come but don't locate. So I would understand that you all might like to have that same kind of information, which, you know,
If we're gonna sit here as a commissioner and you're asking us to upfront a building for $450,000, that you're saying is only gonna appraise for $2.
right.
And that means we're interjecting $250, and we already budgeted $144 a year, correct? And a kid?
Yes.
This is our second year, from my understanding. Okay.
This would actually be, well, this year's the second year, the next year will be the third year.
I understand that, okay. My question there then, though, if Bladen's Blooming is looking at the company and they decide not to do it because of feasibility, that company is seeking help from Bladen's Blooming. If we're already demonstrating that we're taking a loss of $250,000 or $300,000 on the building that we've sold y'all for $200,000, why would we not get the same option to see if we want to negotiate a deal as commissioners to try to get that company for some reason or other that we haven't heard about, that Bladen's Blooming?
Oh, I would definitely bring it back to you all right now if that were the case. I'm not aware of a project that we have turned down. We've been turned down by companies, but I'm not aware of a project that wanted to come to Bladen County and we just, you know, couldn't come to an agreement of the price of the building, or we couldn't come to an agreement on the lease. If there was a good company, then I would certainly come back to you all and say, okay, here's the gap in what we need to do, because you all have done it in the past. Y'all have helped close the gap on projects before. Committee 100 has helped close the gap to bring Black's Tire to Clarkton. So we haven't been turning folks away.
Let's
Yeah.
rotate this thing now, because everybody got something to say now. We'll come back, just keep your thought. Raise your hands. Mike,
Is that going in?
go ahead, Dave, I'll ask my load.
You said there were 9 board members on the Bladen Blooming.
Yes, sir.
Name 3 of them. Who are the other 6?
Okay.
All nine of them.
Okay. Miss Linda Croon, Greg Taylor, Mr. Billy Ray Pate, Mr. Al Beatty, Reynold Hester,
Who has to?
Reynold Hester.
Has to talk?
Yes, sir. And I'm leaving one out. I'm leaving out.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. You got 5
1,
so
2,
far.
3, 4,
Right.
5.
No. Gosh, no, it's just in my head. I'm trying to picture him sitting at the, table.
Larry Martin?
Leon Martin.
He gave him.
You gave him already.
Yeah, Leon is one of the executive committees.
Leon Martin.
Campbell and Robert Hester on executive.
When you think about it, you add, go ahead, Mr. Berry.
One comment I want to make that I think may be helpful is, there used to be a much closer relationship between Bladen's Blooming Agro-Industrial and the county board of commissioners, because there were initially at least three members on the board, from the board of commissioners on that board. Well, now I think it was 7 members.
Bladen's Blooming, actually, when Bladen's Blooming was established, 3 of the 5 members were county commissioners.
That's right. And the School of and so it was, everybody knew everything. The School of Government recommended that relationship be,
Especially when we went into real estate.
when you went into real estate.
When Bladen's Blooming Agro-Industrial was established, and those 2 were different entities. They were only merged about 5 years ago or so. And that's when the Institute of Government said, this needs to be private, because if it's not, these records that you have are public record. The liability that you have for accidents could be conveyed to the county. Those reasons that we talked about at the last meeting.
And so only since that time has there been a shift, I guess, that's become, wider than it used to be.
Well, and I'm sorry, go ahead.
I want to ask one. I have my hand up. I got 2 questions, but I'm gonna ask one now, next slide. How does other counties have Bladen Blooming's organization?
No, sir.
How do they function?
They don't have, they don't develop real estate like we do. Very few counties have a revolving loan. So most counties, they come in and they are waiting for a client to come in and look at a building that, you know, John Doe owns this building, Mary Smith owns this building. So when the clients are coming in, they're marketing a private citizen's building. Their Committee of 100 may have a shell building, but they typically operate where a company comes in and buys that building from them, and then they own it. And a few years later, they may do another shell building. What we do, we don't know of anybody else that does what we do. Some counties have revolving loan funds, but we're not aware of anybody else that does this the way that we do it.
That question will go back to the,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Bladen.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay? So if you, I look at your members, aren't there real estate people, and so what gives integrity there? Okay, let's branch out closer to Carver's Creek or Clarkson or Collier. Why aren't we, I mean,
Well, most of our board members don't live in, I mean, they're kind of completely spread out around the county. So the biggest determining factor that we look at in doing our buildings is where they are marketable. And the marketable places are the 2 industrial parks. If we go to put a building in, let's say, Clarkton, they don't have an industrial area, they don't have an industrial park to put one in.
Why should it have that? Don't you, who owns that building that Henderson or Yarns have? What's in that building now?
Woody owns both of those. The one on 211, Gildan is in. The one on 701, Woody stores his cotton in it, and then he leases the back half to Gildan for their storage, for their capacity.
Okay, so it's being used. Okay.
The question I'm trying to, I've been on the Economic Development Board for the last 4 years, 3 years, 4 years, last 3 years. What association, I'm trying to, that's something I came into, and I heard about Bladen Blooming, and I heard about Bladen Economic Board. Do those 2 boards ever intermingle and with business people? Do they ever interact with each other? Because I've never been in the same type of meeting with these guys in this year. Do they ever intertwine? That's what I'm asking.
We have had, there are very few meetings between Bladen Blooming and the Economic Development Board. What we really probably should do is have meetings between the commissioners and Bladen's Blooming. And one thing that I've actually been thinking about suggesting is, just like we have an executive committee of Bladen's Blooming, it would be awfully nice to have a subcommittee of the commissioners, which I think, I mean, if you help me with the way the public record stuff works, as long as it was 3 people, then they could meet with the Bladen's Blooming executive committee and discuss and look at all these things with projects. The difficulty, you know, most of the time is putting 2 boards together, and then you have to deal with a client, you have to deal with the Board of Commissioners, the public notice and the public, you know, record rules. If we get a call from an industrial client, lots of times we have to have the answer back to them in 2 or 3 days. So that's why an executive committee of that, while it would be nice to have an executive committee of you all.
How are the members selected for both groups? Tell us that. How's Bladen
Bladen's Blooming, they appoint their replacements. So when Miss Cynthia McCoy said that, you know, she wanted to go off the board, the members, you know, got together and said, okay, we need to find somebody else. And that was when either Mr.
Term limits or anything?
No, sir.
That's not to answer the question.
All right, Mr. Caldwell.
When I looked at the Economic Development Board, that commission, I was under the assumption that those two boards were so intertwined that I was the resource to the county to know what was happening with that facility out there. And what I've come to find out, I have no knowledge of what that facility is.
The Economic Development Board is an advisory board. I work much more closely with you all than that board because the speed of which projects happen, you don't have time to call a meeting of the Economic Development Board and then talk to them because ultimately they can only advise you all as commissioners and then you all have to make decisions. So when I'm dealing with a client, I come directly to you all at the next meeting that you have. And we schedule, an executive session. So the Economic Development Board is more about reviewing what has gone on and talking about strategies for the future. But when it comes down to specific work that has to be done on specific projects, that has to be done by this board, like approving incentive packages, deciding if we'll apply for a grant, things like that.
My question is, on this Bladen board, do you have a position on that?
No, we do not have a
You,
position.
as an individual? You,
And I don't wanna take all night, but I wanna know every step and who's involved in from day one. Till they say no, or we're not interested.
But it depends on what they're looking for here. If they're looking at a building that Woody Marlowe owns, and let's say whether it comes from the state or from North Carolina Southeast, they typically have their developer that brings the client here. We meet them at the facility.
Who's we now? That's what I wanna know. Is it Bladen Plumbing, start with it?
No, it's the Economic Development